What if I told you that we can pretty much replicate exactly what MrBeast is doing with his thumbnails pretty much for free? So when you look at a channel like MrBeast, right, you see damn near 500 million subscribers here. Then you look at his thumbnails and you think, okay, well, he's probably hiring somebody to do these for thousands and thousands of dollars. But what if I told you that we can pretty much recreate any one of these thumbnails for free? Now, the idea here is that we use AI, preferably ChatGPT 5.5, but unfortunately, there's no free tier. So in order to get the absolute best results, in my opinion, well, then you have to opt in for the pro version, but that's about $20 a month. So again, still replacing an entire employee. Now, here it is, okay? There are two primary ways that we can go down. Number one, or method one, being the best one, in my opinion. So you get an idea, right? Which is pretty much necessary to create any YouTube video, right? So you find an idea and then you create a thumbnail based on the actual idea. Now, in method number one, we use an actual reference, okay? And this is key. Listen, I have used AI for a very long time and I've done a lot of different experiments. And I've come to the conclusion that both ChatGPT and Claude, or pretty much any AI model, operates, much, much better when they have an actual reference to follow. So obviously Claude does not do any image generation, but let's say that you're using Claude Code to build an actual website. If you give Claude Code a reference to follow, right, a website that is similar to what you want, well, then Claude is going to execute that task 1,000 times better. The same thing goes for ChatGPT. Whenever you want, an image to be generated, if you give it an actual reference, well, then it's just going to do 1,000 times better. So again, it goes from idea to a reference, then a prompt, which when you are using a reference, the prompt doesn't have to be as detailed. And again, finally, we get the actual result. This is my preferred method. Then we have method number two, which is for the people that want to be original. And by the way, I've been on YouTube and social media in general for a very long time. For 99% of beginners, you do not want to try and be original, okay? You have to view YouTube as an actual business. So in business, what you typically do is you don't try to be the next Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. What you do is you find a proven to work business model, then you analyze a company that does this business model incredibly well, and then you essentially steal their entire business model and apply it yourself. You of course make certain changes according to your own brand and preferences, but you still follow a proven to work model. YouTube is the exact same way, right? So you find a channel that has a proven to work concept, then you essentially steal that and you change it a little bit according to your preferences and your overall brand. But there's just overall a much higher chance that your video is going to do well. But it goes from an idea into, directly into a prompt. So obviously there's no reference if you want to be original. And then, finally the end result. So I'm going to show you exactly how I would do this. I have a bunch of videos that I haven't uploaded yet. So I'm going to show you exactly how I would find a thumbnail for one of my videos. But I figured it would be pretty fun if we compared AI models. So I have, in this case, used Gemini, right? And here you have the entire prompt. So it's a rather detailed prompt, okay? And right here is the actual result. So 10 minutes to build this. I built this in 10 minutes. In my opinion, this looks absolutely terrible. Now, again, I don't actually have any subscription to Gemini, so this is the free version. So again, still okay for, what we're working with here. Then I sent the exact same prompt, literally one-to-one, to Grok, which I, by the way, do not have a subscription for either. So this is all free at this point, right? And this is the result it came up with. So in my opinion, 100 times better than Gemini. Finally, I gave ChatGPT 5.5 that exact same prompt, and this is just, not even comparable to any of the other results. So in my opinion, ChatGPT 5.5 is actually one of the best image generators out there. I know a lot of people still prefer Nano Banana, for example, but I honestly like ChatGPT a lot more. So that is exactly what we're going to utilize in this video. So again, let me break down the entire process from video idea to reference to an actual thumbnail that we can use within our video. The first step is, of course, your idea. Right now, I already have a video right here, which is called right now a full business video. And this video is essentially where I break down and show people how I created a business from scratch using Claude in just 36 minutes. So for this video, let's go with this one. Okay, I want to find a thumbnail for the video that I'm looking at right here. But of course, I don't want to be original. So the first thing I do is go on YouTube and try to find a reference. So I could, for example, say I created a business only using AI. And so what I do now is essentially just scroll until I find a proven to work concept that I actually like myself. So this guy, for example, did a super great thumbnail, right? And it got 683,000 views. So again, this is clearly a thumbnail that worked very well for this channel. Now, unfortunately, I can't use this as my actual reference because what I did is nothing like the thumbnail shows right here. Okay, so this one right here from Alfie Carter was uploaded 6 months ago. It got 226,000 views. And if we actually analyze his channel, you can see that his average is probably around 15,000 views per video. But then he had these two mega outliers, right? So this one at 290,000 views and this one at 226,000 views. But this one here looks like something that we could actually use. We of course have to switch out a couple of different things, but what I'm going to do now is essentially take a screenshot of this entire thumbnail. So what I'm going to do now is essentially grab an entire screenshot of this actual thumbnail. I am then going to throw that directly into a completely new chat within ChatGPT. Now, of course, my video has nothing to do with this girl, this water bottle, or anything that's actually on the screen right now. So what I'm going to do is try and replace the lady we see on the left side with some sort of Claude code image, and on the right side I am going to put in Shopify store numbers of some sort. So next step is essentially gathering our prompt, but there's one key detail that 99% of people are missing that's completely ruining their thumbnail. So I want you to pay attention to this guy's facial expression. He has a smile but leaning more neutral. So ideally I want to find a picture of myself that mirrors exactly what this guy's doing here. So I have an entire folder here that is essentially full of my own face, okay? And I want to try and find one that imitates exactly what this guy was doing. Now, unfortunately, from what I can see here, I'm a very happy individual when I'm taking thumbnails. So what I'm going to do is just go with the one that's closest. So in my opinion, it might be the one that we're looking at right here. I am then going to download this exact same photo and then upload it to ChatGPT so that it understands and knows exactly what I look like. And again, I'm just going to drop it right in here. So next in line, I gotta feed ChatGPT an actual prompt. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is grab a screenshot of vitamin gummies. Okay, so within my video and the business that I set up using Claude Code, we actually ended up selling, or our product was, vitamins in the form of gummies. So I'm now going to go on here. I'm just going to grab something random. It could be this one right here. I'm going to copy that image, then going to paste that right into ChatGPT. And here we have V1. Okay, so this is the first try, essentially. I need you to recreate the thumbnail I sent you as a reference and replace the guy's face with mine. I also attached a high quality image of my own face smiling. The image on the right side of the screen contains a woman. I want you to replace that woman with lines of code and a Claude logo so it clearly resembles Claude Code. Actually, I wrote it wrong. This one is on the left and this one is on the right. On the right side, there is different images of a woman. I need you to replace that woman with images of a Shopify store showcasing a graph, money, and so on. Be creative. Lastly, he is holding a water bottle in his hand. We want to swap out that water bottle for a container of vitamin gummies. I've also attached a screenshot of the actual container, which you need to use instead of the bottle. So again, let's try and send this in right now. And there we go. It is already creating a new photo. Now, I, in all honesty, took a very complicated image. There's a lot here that we need to redo. And so the easiest way is to clearly find a thumbnail that looks almost identical to what you want. And ChatGPT doesn't have to do anything but swap the faces of you and whoever, is in the reference that you actually sent it. You can also ask it to swap out the background, for example, and the list really goes on here. All right, so here it is. Again, it does not look exactly like the actual thumbnail, and this is probably not something I would use myself. But again, for a singular prompt, this is pretty good. We need to change the text entirely, right? Because it still used his actual text. So I could, for example, ask it, please replace the text with build a business in 36 minutes. Oh, pay attention to detail here. It even added our actual product to a Shopify store in this image right here. So that's really cool. We also see it right here for $24.99. We see payouts, customers, new orders containing our actual image here, which is just crazy from a singular prompt. So here it is, the final result. Now, I personally think that this is amazing. So here we have a side-by-side comparison. Again, this down here being the image which we used as our reference, and this up here being the thumbnail that we created in probably 5 minutes. So again, this guy likely spent hundreds of dollars creating this thumbnail, and we pretty much created that or recreated that in just a few minutes, pretty much for free. And again, I could give additional feedback here, like for example, the phone, right? It overlaps with my shoulder, whereas in the reference, it goes sort of behind him. And again, this is easily fixable with just one prompt. You just tell it, please put the bottom phone behind the shoulder instead of in front. And of course, if you think there's too many labels here, you could also just tell it, hey, right now we have 2, 4, 6, 7 images, right? I only want to use 4. But what I said in the beginning of this video was that we could recreate MrBeast thumbnails, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now. So let's try and find a thumbnail that is realistically something that we could use. So let's try and go with this one here. I saved 1,000 animals from dying. I'm going to grab an actual screenshot of the thumbnail. I'm going to throw that into a new chat within ChatGPT. And now we're essentially going to try and recreate this. So now I got to find a photo of myself with a similar facial expression. So this one is actually pretty accurate. I'm going to grab a screenshot of that. I'm going to throw that in alongside the MrBeast thumbnail. And now we simply feed it a prompt. So we could, for example, say, please replace the face of MrBeast with my face. I have attached a high quality image of my own face, which you need to use. Okay, so let's just try and send this in. Very, very simple. Sometimes the simpler the actual better. And what we can do moving forward is, for example, ask ChatGPT to swap out the dog for some other item or parts of the background. And that is, in my opinion, how you create the absolute best thumbnails using AI. And there we go. Have a look at this. I mean, this is honestly insane from just this small prompt right here. Now let's try something crazy, okay? Because this is quite an unrealistic video for someone like me. So let's say I was trying to create a video about me finding something I had lost a long time ago. So that could, for example, be a certain key, right? So let's try and ask ChatGPT, can you replace the dog with a golden key? So it looks like I found a golden key in the ocean. Okay, let's try and send this in and see how well it actually executes this. I mean, guys, do you see what I'm talking about here? Look at this. I mean, it is honestly crazy. Even the effects on the key itself is just spot on. So, I mean, if you are still paying for a thumbnail designer, I think that your money can be spent way wiser. Ladies and gentlemen, that was essentially the easiest and most comprehensible way that you can recreate thumbnails or your own from complete scratch. You know, in this day and age, I am sorry to all the graphic designers out there, but they're just getting replaced left, right, and center. I used to have an entire design team. I've now fired all of them because AI was just way easier to use. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to start YouTube, there is just zero excuses because you quite literally do not need any upfront capital to match the quality of thousands of dollars in production. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I certainly hope it helped you out. I appreciate every single one of you. If you want to check out all the software that we have ever created, well, then there's a link for that in the description down below. And without further ado, I hope to see each and every one of you in our next video.